Hi, Stories Channel here.
Today we're covering a 2000 American road comedy film named Road Trip. The movie starts with a man, named Barry, on a tour with a group of new students at the University of Ithaca. He tells them a story of his friend, named Josh, and his girlfriend named Tiffany. He tells that they have been together since childhood and then they both got enrolled in different high schools and had to pass through a long-distance relationship. They made a pact to stay true to each other. They both agree to talk to each other every day. Then, we see Josh recording a tape to send to Tiffany when his friends, Barry and Ruben, enter his room. Ruben has a pet snake in his room, named Mitch. Barry is obsessed with feeding Mitch a rat. Josh seems in a hurry to leave for class, so he asks Ruben to mail the tape to Tiffany. On his way to class, a girl named Beth stops Josh and invites him to a party at EL's house. Meanwhile, there's a guy, named Jacob, hiding behind a tree who is stalking Beth. He has a thing for Beth and is very clingy, but Beth doesn't like him at all. Next, we see a teacher, named Anderson, teaching ancient philosophy to a class. Josh is also present in the class. Jacob, the teacher's assistant, informs the class about the upcoming midterm exams. In the hallway, Jacob tells Josh to stay away from Beth. The teacher comes out and reminds Josh that he has to secure a B+ grade in the philosophy exam to pass this semester. After the class, Josh comes out of school with his friend named EL. Josh tells him about his philosophy midterm. He then goes to a payphone to call his girlfriend. Carla, Tiffany's roommate, picks up the phone and tells Josh that Tiffany hasn't been in her room for the last 2 days. EL then suggests that he should move on from Tiffany as she might have also moved on. Later, we see Josh entering EL's house party. Ruben is smoking weed with a girl and Barry is upstairs, teaching 2 girls practical biology. EL has started an auction for the guests to bid for the company of any girl they want. Beth is in the K for the auction when she sees Jacob in the audience. She comes out of the K to find Josh and asks him to outbid Jacob. Josh then bids for the company of Beth. After some dancing, Josh takes Beth to his room. She finds a card on a table from his girlfriend Tiffany. Josh tells her that they got separated now. Josh and Beth then start to kiss. She has an idea to record everything on a tape. She puts on the camera and then they spend the night together. The next morning, Josh's friends are gathered in his room and Josh tells them about the exciting night he had. EL doesn't believe that he slept with Beth. Josh tells them that he can prove it by his videotape. EL suddenly grabs the tape and they turn off the lights to watch it. But when they play it, it's the tape that Josh had recorded for Tiffany. Ruben has accidentally mailed the Beth tape to Tiffany. As Josh is worried about the tape, the phone rings, and Tiffany leaves a message that her grandfather had passed away and that's why she hasn't been able to talk to Josh for a few days. She is at her mother's place and she will come back to school on Monday. Josh then decides to drive to Austin as he doesn't have enough money for a plane ticket. EL offers to come along as well. They both then go to another friend of theirs, named Kyle. They ask Kyle for his car and ask him to come as well. Ruben also tags along and Barry stays behind. Ruben permits Barry to feed the snake tomorrow. The group then leaves for Austin. Next, we see Barry narrating this whole story to a group of new students. On Friday, they are traveling down the road when EL explains to them the loopholes around cheating. He claims that Josh wasn't cheating on Tiffany as they both were in different area codes. Then, we see Barry getting obsessed with Mitch. He takes out a mouse from the box and plays with it when Beth arrives. He mistakenly tells her that Josh has gone to Boston to visit Tiffany. Beth then decides to visit the University of Boston to confront Josh and Tiffany. In the next scene, we see the group buying some supplies. They don't have any cash, so they use Kyle's credit card. They then take a shortcut on their way to Austin where they encounter a broken bridge. EL suggests they should jump the car over the broken part of the bridge. Ruben makes the calculations and recommends a speed of 75 miles per hour. They all get in the car and successfully jump the car to the next side. Suddenly, the axles of the car break down and the tires fall off. They get out of the car. As they are bickering over what to do, the car explodes into flames. Then, we see Beth on a bus to Boston as she is talking to a woman about her heartbreak. Meanwhile, the group walks to a nearby motel and stays the night. The next morning, Ruben talks to the hotel manager to buy some weed from him, but he doesn't have any. The manager tells him that their credit card is maxed out. In the meantime, we see Kyle's parents, named Earl and Cookie, having breakfast at a restaurant. Later, a policeman arrives and tells him that they have found Kyle's car abandoned at a bridge. The police have also checked with the university and Kyle is missing. Then, we see EL visiting the nearest school for the blind. He meets a blind lady at the counter and tells her that one of their buses needs some maintenance. He convinces the woman to give him the bus. Meanwhile, the rest of the guys are having breakfast at a restaurant. Kyle sends back the bread as it has powdered sugar on it. After they finish breakfast, El returns with the bus. The group then gets on their way to Austin. Later, we see Barry playing with a mouse. It's the feeding time for Mitch and Barry puts the mouse in the snake terrarium but the snake doesn't respond. On the road, the guys make a pit stop as Kyle has to go to the washroom. Josh makes a call to his professor from a payphone. Jacob picks up the phone and mimics the voice of Professor Anderson. Josh asks for an extension on his midterm exam and Jacob leads him to believe that he actually has gotten an extension. But Jacob is lying and doesn't tell the professor as well. Then, we see Earl, accompanied by police, and canvassing the area where Kyle's car had exploded. In the next scene, Beth is on her way to the University of Boston. She tracks down another Tiffany Henderson and tells her that her boyfriend is cheating on her. That Tiffany then loses her mind and destroys the car of her boyfriend. Beth then figures out that she has tracked down the wrong Tiffany and destroyed her relationship. On her way back, Beth is creeped out by a guy who licks her foot on the bus. Meanwhile, Barry is getting mad at Mitch for not eating the mouse. The group then reaches a fraternity house to stay the night. Ruben knocks on the door and introduces themselves to a man. They do their typical handshake and the man lets them inside. They reach the dining hall and figure out that this is a black fraternity house. The guys from the fraternity then pull a prank on the group and Kyle passes out. The friends then enjoy the party at the fraternity house. A woman named Rhonda starts to like Kyle. They spend some time afterward where she flirts with Kyle and then they sleep together. The next morning, they get back on the road. Kyle tells them about the fun he had last night. Ruben then reminds them that they don't have enough money. The group then decides to donate sperm to earn money. Meanwhile, back at Josh's apartment, Barry is trying to feed the snake but it wouldn't eat the mouse. Beth comes and asks him why he had lied and sent her to Boston. She then figures out it was an honest mistake. Jacob then appears and interrupts their conversation. He tells Beth that Josh is about to fail philosophy as he doesn't have an extension on his midterm. Suddenly, Mitch bites Barry's hand and he throws the snake towards Jacob. Next, we see the group enjoying the road by singing a song. Barry has set up his friends to stay the night at his grandparents'. They stop at the house and Barry's grandparents greet the boys and show them around the house. Afterward, we see Kyle's parents at the motel, where the group had stayed the night before. Earl has tracked his credit card history to find the motel. He shows the manager a picture of Kyle but he refuses to recognize him. He then threatens the manager and he gives Earl their bill receipt. The couple figures out that Kyle might be headed towards Austin as they have made calls there. Later, on the porch, Ruben is smoking weed when Barry's grandfather, named Jack, comes along with his dog. He asks Ruben for the weed. Ruben then shares some of his thoughts with him. Jack is getting high and starts to imagine his dog talking to him. Next, we see Tiffany being sad and rolled up in a bed. Her roommates are with her consoling on her grandfather's death. Carla gives Tiffany a post that Josh has sent. She opens it up and finds a tape inside. Carla plays the tape and Tiffany is shocked to see Beth and Josh sleeping together. Suddenly, Josh wakes up and it is revealed to be a dream. The next morning, the group says goodbye to Barry's grandparents and leaves. They reach the University of Austin and Tiffany's hostel. They ask the boy at the counter for Tiffany's mail, but the boy declines as it is against the policy to hand over someone else's mail. Things start to heat up and Kyle grabs the boy's arm. He hits Kyle back and a fight starts. Kyle grabs a fire extinguisher and Josh runs for the mail. The security arrives and threatens everybody with pepper spray. Suddenly, Kyle's parents also appear and Earl pulls a gun on the boys. He thinks that Kyle has been kidnapped the whole time. Kyle explains to his father that he was with his friends and he didn't inform him because he knew that he'd get mad. Tiffany also arrives and is surprised to see Josh here. Meanwhile, things start to heat up again between Kyle and his father. The fight starts again and Josh takes Tiffany away from the crowd to her room. She inquires about why Josh is here. As they are talking, Tiffany's phone rings and she picks it up. It's Beth and she asks to talk to Josh. She tells him that Jacob had lied to him about his midterm extension. As he is talking on the phone, Tiffany plays the tape that Josh had brought. Josh is about to stop the tape when Barry appears on the tape. Apparently, Barry had recorded over Beth's tape. Next, we see the guys on their way back to Ithaca. Josh tells them that he had broken up with Tiffany and they ended things amicably. Josh now has an exam in 46 hours and he looks worried. Ruben offers to teach philosophy to him in 46 hours. They drive all day and night and reach the university after 2 days. Josh is about an hour late for the exam. He enters the university and finds a bomb disposal team on the front door to his examination hall. Later, all the students are standing on the lawn outside of the university building. Professor Anderson announces that it is a false alarm. All the students head back inside and Josh gives his exam. After the midterm exam, Beth catches up to Josh and asks him about his exam. She tells him that it was her who had called in a false bomb threat. Then, we see Barry narrating the story to the new students group. Josh and Beth are still together. Jacob left school and joined some cult. Ruben had developed a strain of marijuana that is extremely potent and undetected by the standard drug tests. El had also found a girl. And as for Kyle, he and his father reconciled their differences and Kyle brought home Rhonda to meet with his parents. The movie ends with Barry dismissing the group and wishing them well on campus. Thanks for watching, guys.